quarterback is toast.
Mack Quigley, I have no idea what kind of a demon would have possessed you to think that you're in any way, shape, or form qualified to teach people about basic physics, especially without even explaining physics, but you're about to get schooled, son. Now this is a stack of books. Mac, you will be unfamiliar with these, but they are great sources for information, even the ones that don't say Bible on the cover. Now, what happens when you remove a section of the books? A couple of the books, for example. Now, Mac, I'm not sure if gravity is one of those scientific theories that you actually do believe in, but according to the rest of us sane people, what will happen with the top books is they have now what's known as potential energy. Now, potential energy is mass times gravity times height. It's one of the most basic laws of physics, and anybody will realize that as soon as the force holding the top portion of the books up, like, say, a couple of burning books, becomes less strong than gravity itself, the force of gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared, the top books will come crashing down and turn themselves into kinetic energy. This is how a pile driver works. Now, what happens when this kinetic energy meets another object? Well, this depends on the structure and density of the other object. In this case, the lower object, or the books on the bottom, are very dense, somewhat like yourself. So, what can we predict will happen? Well, I personally predict that you're going to be too ignorant to give a shit, but as far as the books are concerned, assuming that the bottom books are actually sitting on the ground, once the top object hits the bottom object, which are both solid, the kinetic energy is going to be transferred through the bottom books, through the foundation, and down into the ground, which would bode very strongly for your ridiculous truther argument if only the Twin Towers had been solid. This is a structural diagram for the steel supports for the World Trade Center buildings, clearly demonstrating that they are in fact not solid. Now, what happens when the kinetic energy from several floors of a building come crashing down? If you care for another example, ask any gamer who's ever played Counter-Strike against 3D or MyGot how many keyboards they've been through. Or maybe you've never played Jenga before. Now, I'm even going to go so far as to explain to you exactly why it fell in on itself. This is my pathetic attempt at drawing a workbench. The bench has two strong outer supports and two weaker inner supports. Now, I'm sure you'll be familiar with the term that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, meaning the weight of the workbench itself is being supported by a reactionary force represented by these blue arrows. Suppose a couple thousand metric tons were to fall on this workbench. Where do you suppose it would break, Mac? I would suspect either one of these two spots, or possibly even this third spot right here in the middle. These are the laws of torque, by the way. Rudimentary understanding of them will allow you to understand this in a lot more depth. Now, because I don't want to spend too much more time teaching somebody this kind of stuff that doesn't care to learn it, essentially, once it collapses in on itself, it's going to pull the outer and the inner structures down with it, because they are in fact connected. One little side note though, this isn't a diagram for a workbench. This is in fact a diagram, a side view, for the World Trade Center. So allow me to give you another demonstration of your argument there, Mack Quigley.